With all the chaos going on in Africa, it's becoming more and more apparent to me why Kwame Nkrumah was right and that Africa needed to unite. Right now, we have a 92-year-old man, Paul Biya, running for presidency. Then we have another one in Uganda, Museveni, who is begging to his people to come back into power. And these people have been in power for 40 plus years. As long as they've been in power, some of the youth that are in the country were not even born when they came into power. And not just that, you have the US bullying African countries in terms of accept deportees or else. So it's become more apparent to me why Kwame Nkrumah wanted us to unite. Kwame Nkrumah stood before African leaders at the OAU conference in 1963 Addis Ababa, and he told them that they needed to unite now or perish. Now, when I think about it, I realized that he was right. A few weeks ago, the New York Times posted an article about Kwame Nkrumah and said the man who saw Africa's future. This is 60 years down the line. The man who saw Africa's future. And mind you, this same US CIA played a role in bringing him down. African leaders, we have to think. We have to think outside of our pockets in our family and what they can get. I'm tired of the talking. We need solutions. And for me, the way to get to the solution is to dig the history and understand why we are in the situation that we are in. And that is why when I make my videos, I always will be digging back, especially to Kwame Nkrumah, because he left the blueprint to us uniting. I believe what made Nkrumah who he was that he came to school in America. Nkrumah came to school in Pennsylvania in the 30s or 40s. He was in school in America. And when he came to America, there were a lot of things that influenced him. First of all, he saw how the Negro was treated. He saw the reality of how Oyibo people see black people, how black people are treated living in the predominantly white society. That was very shocking to him. But one of the things that occurred to him was how America was formed. You know, America had about 13 different colonies that behaved like different countries. And because of how they were being bullied by the British, they decided to put all their differences aside and they formed a federation, which became the United States of America. They had one passport, one currency, and freedom of movement, no borders. And this made America the superpower that it is today. So Nkrumah being in America and understanding how the ease to move from state to state, I believe that's how he got his vision of how if America can unite, then Africa can unite too. So basically, even though the US formed a federation, every state kept their local identity. It's very true because, you know, when I came to America, even though I saw it as one country, I realized that like there were different laws in different states, and every state was different with the little laws and differences that they had, right? So knowing this history that US was once different countries, like different colonies that eventually united is very interesting to know and it's very hopeful. Americans understand United States of Africa. Americans can understand that and pick it up very easily. Africans that live in America can understand that concept very easily. But Africans on the continent don't understand that concept. They don't understand how liberating and what it will do for them, their daily life, right? But let's go back to Addis Ababa. So Nkrumah told them that, look, if we don't unite, we are going to be weak and they are going to continue to plunder our resources and they are going to come in the form of neo-colonialism, the last stage of imperialism. And when he said that, the heads of state were more interested in being independent and enjoying their independency than uniting. And Nkrumah knew that if they hadn't united then and they started enjoying power, it will be more difficult to do. Here we are today. Everything that he's predicted has come to life. And the same people that were involved in bringing him down It's kind of like teasing us. They've come to put it in their newspapers that he saw our future, and we are the ones that threw away our leader, the one that God gave to us. We are the ones that threw him away. And here today we have 54 flags, 54 currencies, and 54 militaries. And Nkrumah warned them that without the unity, we will remain weak, divided, and exploited. And now, what do? We are still exporting raw materials. We still need visas to travel to each other's countries. We still use different currencies. So we are not able to keep our wealth and trade with each other efficiently. Like I said, I want us to come together and get a solution. Nkrumah has documented the blueprints in his books. You can read Africa Must Unite, Neocolonialism, the Last Stage of Imperialism. He's documented the blueprint on how we can unite. And my African brothers and sisters, do you know that the AU have this in their Agenda 2063 for the Africa that we want, a more political, economic, integrated Africa? One currency, one passport, freedom of movement, right? But look, what I'm realizing when it comes to politicians, first of all, these politicians that are running AU, if they are not doing what they are supposed to do for our individual countries, how do we expect them to meet these targets, right? So we have to help them. We have to be educated about what the plan is. We have to educate our children that, hey, you guys said that this is what you want to do in 10 years, this is what you want to achieve in 10 years. Where are we with that? These are some of the demands that we have to start making. Those who can come online, come online. Those who can agitate, agitate. But the bottom line is that we have to understand as Africans where we are coming from and where we are heading and how to get there. So that's why I bring videos like this to light. Like, what is the solution? The blueprint has been written. The books have been written as to how we can achieve that. And our leaders and our heads of state know it to the extent that they even have a whole document, Agenda 2063. But the average African doesn't even know about this. So if you don't know about it, how will we put pressure on them? And if AU is serious, Africa will not be this chaotic. By now, they should have sanctioned someone like Paul Biya. They should have sunk, but because their hands are not clean, they are very wicked to their own people. They can't come and talk about someone else's own, right? But we have to hold our leaders accountable and let them understand the world that we want for our children's children. So I urge every African, every black person to read Nkrumah's books. Understand what is going on with Agenda 23 in the documents, because we need to make demands. These politicians are not going to move without us demanding the Africa that we want. And we cannot strategize and demand the Africa that we want if we don't even know what is happening. Because I'm sure a lot of people don't even know that this is happening. When we move as one people, our voice becomes impossible to ignore. Nkrumah coming to the United States to study was a blessing. He was able to witness and understand how America was formed, and he applied it to Africa and left us the blueprint. He also got experience to understand what the Negro or what the black man was up against. And right now, Agenda 2063 is waiting for a generation that is bold enough to demand their God-given right. This is the Afritude movement. If you like this content, please like, join the community, subscribe, and don't forget to hit the notification button. Thank you and peace out.